Mm-mm.
Hello, hello. It's Ariel Serber. I'm with Rich Pierre. We're going to talk about community accelerators, the New York ecosystem, sunglasses indoors, but whatever else comes up, and obviously, if you're watching, please, uh, you know, share your thoughts and feedback and questions because we love that aspect of these conversations. These are communal conversations and it's going to be all about community today. So, again, my name is Ariel Serber. I'm an advisor here in New York, building a community and building a lot of media around financial wellness and awareness and empowerment. So, I think community is the way to go and the way to grow here. So, Rich, that's probably a great spot for you to introduce yourself and tell us who you are, what you're all about.
Yeah, my name is Rich Pierre, and I'm a connector in the New York City space. Um, I work with startups, and I also work with early stage founders and accelerators. So I typically operate as a community cultivation strategist. So I analyze communities, I analyze how things come together, and it's been a journey of me just learning the ecosystem of startups and how that works specifically with community development.
Yeah. So I like the word cultivator because that's very evocative. What is that? How did you pick that, and what does it mean to you on a practical day-to-day, like this is what I'm actually doing level?
Yeah, it's funny that term. That term came because of someone called Ari McDaniel. So she's a close friend of mine. She has an entire brand focused on cult brands. So when you
Mm,
say cult brands, it's kind of think like, how do you get a cult following, and what does a cult following mean, and and that whole ideology is closely tied to like community. And
hmm
she came up with this through like PR. So me and
Yeah.
her were having a conversation about exactly what PR is and where PR falls in the spectrum of customer development and discovery and things like that. And
Yeah.
she was like, "You need to come up with a name for like exactly what you are." And I didn't want to
Yeah.
go all the way in the cult space, but
Right.
I did see like the synergy of cultivating connections, because that's
Yeah.
pretty much what I do. I introduce people, and I'm always trying to
Right.
keep in contact with people. So that's where the term came from.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely. It's funny, like you don't realize where some words come from until you break them down and look at the root. And it's like,
yeah,
oh, that's why it's called that. It's like that's a little bit sketchy, but like we're going with it.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so that's a
But
whole vertical and conversation that we can have. But today we're focusing mainly on community and
yeah.
accelerators.
Well, and I think they go hand in hand, right?
They do.
Because if you
They
don't
do.
have the loyalty and attachment and connection, that's really what community is all about. So
Exactly.
what are
And
your
when you get into the cult side, cults is more like obsessive
yeah,
following of whatever you're doing. Yeah.
yeah, right. It's not everyone in the community is going to be like that level. Um, and I'm sure there's definitely been interesting things about um, like loose connections and tighter connections and all that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
what's important, I think, is to keep the loose connections kind of involved. So how do you go about doing that, and what do you suggest to other community builders in order to keep that keep those sort of looser connections feeling like they're part of a community and engaged?
Yeah. So there's a stage at which you have to kind of start keeping track of the connections you make. So on a very low level, people just have connections naturally. They meet people, they get phone numbers, emails, whatever the
Mhm.
case. And the issue arises where individuals don't know how to follow up or keep like a rhythm of communication with the individuals in their network. Um, so there's two strategies that I typically employ. So one is documentation. You have to document the individuals who you want to keep in contact with and the people who are just generally in your space. So you can use Google Docs. That's what I use, or what I used originally. Now I'm using other things, but you can start with Google Docs and just you could either export your contacts or the people that you want to keep in contact with, and then give them
Mhm.
labels. So those labels can fall into different things. So I have things like evangelists. So people that are like, they're like, oh, yo, that's the guy, that's Rich, like they're labeled evangelists. But then there's people who are, maybe you don't know them or you only met them once or twice. You have to kind of set up like a time to reach out to them. This is where we
Yeah.
get into the second part as far as the time, like how do you set up a cadence of reaching out to people. So maybe some people you want to reach out every couple weeks to say like, hey, how are you doing? What's going on? Give me an
Yeah.
update on what you have going on. Some people it's 2 months or like every quarter. And once you
Yeah.
have that, you can start building up a network of connections that you have. So I'll say those two
Yep.
things: document and set up a cadence of outreach that you want to have.
Yeah. Absolutely. Um, and I guess I would add, don't be like pitch slapping someone like right when you meet them, you know?
No,
Um,
yeah, you want to
you have to have that
listen.
purpose.
Yeah, you want to listen for what they are interested in, and this is going into another aspect of a community that I want to build. I haven't launched it yet, but
Okay.
soft skills when it comes to navigating networks and being like an entrepreneur or being a founder is like very important. So what that means in this context is we're kind of taught to like sell what we have, like, hey, I have this thing going on, or this is how much metrics I have, or my MRR,
Hmm.
and you know, um,
Hmm.
but the truth is, you
Yeah.
build stronger relationships by listening to the person that you want to build a connection with on what they are trying to execute on and what they want to do. So that way you can then say, okay, I know someone that can help you with that, or here's how I can help with that, because now you know what their mission statement or their vision is.
Yeah. And that's where being the connector comes into play. And
Yeah,
then and then that sort of that like flywheel of just having the network, it creates its own network effect.
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Because, you may connect someone with someone who can help them further along, but that person may meet someone who says, hey, Ariel knows this person, and it kind of starts building your ecosystem that way.
Yeah, 100%. And then what I love more than anything is bringing a couple of ecosystems together. And
Hmm.
and that sounds like what you're working on with AcceleratorCon. So first of all, is that accurate? And maybe tell us a little bit about this event and what it's all about and the bigger picture that it kind of falls into.
Yeah. So I started when I started, I had a creative agency. This was like pre-pandemic, and we saw that company as a startup. So the pandemic disrupted a lot of our business because we were working a lot with co-working spaces and trying to bring startups to the co-working spaces and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And coming out of the pandemic, I said, hey, how can I, you know, take all that information and knowledge that I gained from that and help startups navigate the space of building relationships with investors and things like that. So through that journey of like working with accelerators, doing pitch events, I started realizing, oh, hey, there is a community here of people who are very interconnected, because the startup community, unlike a lot of other communities, everyone is always exchanging information and talking and things like that.
Yeah.
And through that journey, I met Isosa, and she kind of had a similar concept of like, hey, there are all these accelerators and startups, and how do we kind of like pull the resources together? So really, Isosa, she decided, hey, I want to do this conference to bring all the accelerators together and kind of educate startups on what it takes to get into an accelerator, what investors look for, things like that. So typically,
Yeah.
when you come to the AcceleratorCon event, you get to actually meet directly with all of the, program managers from accelerators. There's usually like talks on, how to get investment, and there's actually like investor tables where you can sit down and have one-on-one with investors. There's all kinds of stuff. We even have like bow and arrow like 1 year. So there's all kinds of
Okay.
cool stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like a good I think they're called activations. I heard that word a couple times and I'm like, I like that.
Yeah.
Where yeah, you could just it's just something different than your day to day and also different than just panel after panel. I feel like
Yeah.
that's a little tired.
Yeah, so we have a competition this year. It's the draft, which is it's pretty much I think it's like a startup hackathon. We're having that.
That's
There's
cool.
also like and so like you've events around it. So we have like a VIP investor breakfast. There's a lot of stuff happening, and a lot of
Okay.
like great speakers from all kinds of um, investment firms
Yeah.
and serial entrepreneurs and all kinds of stuff. Like if you guys go and look at the list, it's kind of crazy the people that
Yeah.
are going to
Yeah,
be
it's
there.
kind of packed. It's almost like how do you get it's hard to get all the value out of it because there's so much kind of squeezed in. Um, I
Right.
just wanted to go back to the the idea of an accelerator and the value of an accelerator. Can you speak to maybe from experience you've had with startups within accelerators or the other way around, how it's beneficial for both sides and what startups should be looking for in accelerators?
Yeah, so for accelerators, you have to think of an accelerator as a access to a network. Again, obviously, like yourself, myself, we're community organizers, so that's the perspective I look at it from.
Hmm.
So the relationships that accelerators have are the relationships that help educate you and give you access to the resources to help scale your business. So usually if you're going to an accelerator, your business has some form of traction. Maybe you have like some customers and you're trying to figure it out. And maybe you have like some revenue, and there's a range of that, but
Yeah.
ultimately you're operating as a business already. And what accelerators do is they bring in experts, like they have a network of experts that they bring in to say, like, hey, I worked in the logistics field and I have these relationships in the logistics field. And in order for you to scale in this space, these are the things that you need to know. These are the licenses you need to have. These are the people you need
Yeah.
to talk to. That's where the real value for accelerators come in. Then obviously every accelerator has a different programming or curriculum. Some of them teach you how to pitch to investors. So you go through several rounds of pitches until you're like, okay, I have it down packed. I think I can convince an investor to, invest this amount of money in me. So I think
Hmm.
that's the value that comes from accelerators. Obviously, accelerators um, also give capital, and it varies from an accelerator to accelerator. But I think the things
Yeah.
that startups need to look for when they're going into accelerators is number one, the network of experts that the accelerator has access to, and how much, what percentage of equity or like what's their deal when it comes to giving money, because you want to protect yourself as far as how much equity you have in your business. But I'll say the most valuable part is the connections that you're going to get through going to that accelerator.
Yeah. So you're right. It's sort of like a due diligence on the startups, just like the accelerators or any investor would do would do on the founders and on the startups themselves.
Definitely.
So, and now flip it around. So what does an accelerator look for in the startups that it recruits on board?
Again, that varies from accelerator to accelerator.
Sure.
Some accelerators are looking for a certain a certain amount of time to dedicate to it. So, and that's something that you always have to keep in mind when you're going into accelerator, because you may have like yourself and a co-founder. So let's say it's just you. It's going to be a lot more difficult, especially if you're not doing your startup full time, because accelerators expect you a lot of the times to be on site. I know there are accelerators that can be done remotely, but a lot of them
Mhm.
require you to come in and like meet with people and have conversations and learn things. So
Yeah.
accelerators are looking for the availability that you have. Then, like any other institution, they're always looking for where are you in the stage of your customer discovery process, or like your product market fit, just so they
Hmm.
can say, all right, we can help you along this path.
Yeah.
And beyond that, I think they typically are, it's based on whatever their mission is. So, like for instance, some accelerators bring startups from other countries. Um,
Right.
that's their whole thing. Some
Right. Or it could be
accelerators,
fintech, or it could be, yeah,
yeah, exactly. Some are looking
insurtech. Yeah.
for minority founders. Some are looking for
Uh-huh.
AI. Like so, it's a
Yeah.
mixed bag. But I would say availability and the right amount of traction. So the way you figure that
Yeah.
out is to kind of look at what startups they've worked with in the past and see if you fit into that framework.
Okay. Yeah. I'm a big fan of talking with people that went through it for all
Yeah.
these kinds of things.
Hmm.
Just like if you're having an investor come on your cap table, like because these accelerators can and do become part of the cap table, and as you mentioned, equity and all that stuff, like that is such an important piece of the startup journey. Although it's not, your mission is not to, as a startup founder, is not to manage a cap table. That's what Carta or Fidelity, whatever, or JP Morgan, that's what these companies are for. But you have to be very vigilant. And you
Yeah,
mentioned availability. Yeah, availability is the best ability, So
exactly.
are there any
Because
matchmakers or matchmaking kind of like websites that you know of that like you plug in, this is my startup, who are good accelerators for me?
no, I don't know off the top of my head. I mean, there are a bunch of things that I've encountered, but I'm not sure that specific use case. I haven't encountered that specific use case. I
Right.
know there's like Scout websites, and there's like, the pitch books and built-in
Oh,
NYC
sure.
thing. There's stuff like that, but I'm not sure if there's like a matchmaking accelerator service. I guess AcceleratorCon should build that. I mean,
It
we
would
have
be
the
a good,
database.
yeah. Well, and you have both sides of the equation.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So thank you for joining. Is that, I don't know if he goes by Gene or JP, but appreciate it.
Oh yeah, that's
Um,
my co-founder.
oh,
So,
that's awesome. Okay. So yeah, no, look, I appreciate everyone that's watching or will watch in the future. Um, what are some of maybe the takeaways that you hope to see, or the how you kind of envision, uh, and because you're a part of the New York ecosystem, like how do you see AcceleratorCon fitting into it and supporting the broader ecosystem?
well, obviously, the whole point of AcceleratorCon is the matchmaking process, right? But my goal is more about informing startups on the strategies that can help them succeed beyond just saying like, okay, hey, you got matched with an accelerator. And as being a community organizer, that's why I decided to put together a panel about community being the new go-to-market strategy for startups.
Yeah.
Um, and the reason I decided to do that is because it's a conversation that has been growing over the past couple of years about what exactly is product market fit and how do you achieve it. So a lot of startups, they're indoctrinated to think like, hey, I need these numbers, and in order to do that, I have to throw money at sales, or I have to figure out the best way to create a trending product or whatever the case. And
Mhm.
I have realized this through my research and just talking to a lot of startups and my experience, that it really just comes down to your position in the community. And whatever product you make, whatever service you make as a startup, there is a community that you're serving. And if you
Yeah,
do not have a position in that community, and you don't have a relationship with that community, it lowers your chances of being successful long term. So the purpose of me even doing the panel with a lot of the amazing people that are going to be on there, like Natalie Neptune and Ben Schwartz, and all these people, they actually do that. They help businesses
yeah,
position themselves with community, and
yeah,
that's kind of like where I'm putting my like my force and energy behind, like how
yeah.
to educate startups on using community to get to that next level of business.
Right. And because again, that goes back to the flywheel domino network effect, right?
Yes, exactly.
Then you have, the more you're able to do things that are scalable within a business, the better. The better it's going to be for the business long term, for stakeholders and everyone else.
Definitely, yeah. So that's the whole goal, and the way that benefits, like individuals like myself and the people on the panel, is we're all building tools to help people with those processes. So, like for instance, earlier you asked me, how do you manage your relationships? Well, like I said, initially I started using like Google Docs, and then some, move over to Notion
Mhm.
and things like that. But like right now, me and my co-founder, we're building a platform called Pollen 8, which allows you to manage your connections. So you can import your contacts, and it allows you to build rapport. So it notifies you like, hey, you haven't reached out to, Ariel in a month. Maybe you want to send him an email. Oh, hey,
Right,
this is the last time you spoke to this person. Maybe you should check in on them.
right,
That type of thing.
right. And this is what you spoke about, because sometimes like you don't remember.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
But one thing I always, you mentioned this before, like getting to know the people, that's so important, or like kind of what they're going through. Everyone's going through something, so it's sort of like, how can you support people as they're going through transitions in their life? Um,
definitely. Yeah, and the
and
longer you know
or
them, you know those transitions.
Yeah, no, exactly. So because I know you're doing this event, I had you on this podcast,
Exactly.
live, whatever you want to call it. Um, but fundamentally, I think people, especially because of how much technology there is and how much we're offloading to tech, AI, and everything else, I think letting people know you care and that you're there for them is such a difference maker,
Mhm.
and being genuine. And just like, if you know someone is, it could be anything. It could be starting a new business. It could be a parent is not doing well, or anything like that. Just checking in on people, or they've had an event that's a tough event in their life. Like just checking in with people, like it really makes all the difference. It just gives them a lot of strength for whatever it is they're going through. But it really takes 2 seconds sometimes,
Yeah,
and
I
that
mean,
could
a
be
lot of
tough.
people struggle with that, and it's a conversation that needs to be had. Like I said, there is something I'm planning as far as like a soft skill type workshop that I want to I want to put together to help, especially founders, with just understanding the aspects that they overlook, like team building and conflict resolution and relationship management and things like that, which
Yeah.
kind of fall to the wayside, even like work-life balance that fall to the wayside when they're like chasing metrics and funding and things like that. So that's something that I have kind of like recently became a bit more passionate about, and I think I'm going to start something for that.
Okay. No, that's awesome. And you share a lot of content here, which is great.
I
Um,
do, yeah.
uh, uh, Dana has a question about finding the right accelerator fit, which we did discuss about, but if you have any additional thoughts, but also getting noticed and accepted. Are there any, I'm sure it's obviously dependent on which one you're trying to get into or what you're looking for. But are there um, any ideas for how to either tell your story better or gain visibility and have that attention? We're really in an attention
Yeah,
economy.
yes, for sure. So you literally said the exact words that I was going to say. So it's about telling your story. It obviously having a good product helps, but and having traction helps. But at the end of the day, investors and accelerators, they really care about your story. And this kind of touches on what we were talking about earlier as far as like cult branding and getting followers and things of that nature. A lot of the people who raise capital successfully and get into accelerators, they typically have good stories or amazing personalities. And these people who are accepting you into the accelerators and or investing in you, they're investing in you because they like you. They're like, oh wow, like that story resonated with me. Like, oh wow, like you are such a, amazing person, or I can see this energy that would take you to this next level. That's usually how they end up investing in people or bringing people on, is because they see something in you that makes them believe like, yeah, this person can run this business, or this person is really passionate about this business.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people think like, oh, it's just passion. Like, yeah, I'm going to do this thing. It's not just I'm going to do this thing. It's why are you doing this thing? Like, I'm doing this thing because, like, for instance, let's say like the soft skill thing that I brought up. I'm doing that because through my journey of running businesses and being an entrepreneur and being a founder, I realized like, hey, there's a lot of things that founders aren't being supported for. And I wish I had the support to say like, hey, conflict resolution is a thing you need to know, or like, hey, like these things are just
Sure.
things we don't think about. And that's my experience. So I'm like, hey, this is something that I think really needs to happen. And this is how it affected me and how it affects other people. And I think other people will care about this. Like that story starts getting their wheels turning, like, oh wow, this person really has their finger on the pulse of whatever problem they're solving.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
typically that gets you in the door.
No, absolutely. I heard today, so I'm part of, and I told you, we've talked about this 1 Million Cups, which hears
Yes.
from startups every Wednesday morning. And, the founder, there's typically the best founders that present are the ones that kind of lead with the story and why they're doing this. The founder today left a job in tech to found a company in making bone broth or
Mhm.
stuff like that. And it's all about reconnecting to nature and earth and using what we have and the resources. And it's about something much bigger. It's real mission driven.
Exactly. So if I just came and say, hey, I'm making bone broth because I know this is going to work, it's like, dude, listen.
Why is it going to work? Yeah. Or
you
who
know
or who yeah, or
yeah,
who cares?
exactly.
Like,
Yeah,
anyone,
no one's going
not
to care
anyone, but
about that. Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
then you're a commodity. So it's about really not being a commodity. And also, so when I was doing financial advisor recruiting, it was a lot about, because it really what it comes down to is just, you're right, it's the personality and wanting to actually work with this person and take this trip. So
hmm
obviously there's a lot of metaphors there, and we're mixing all the metaphors, but if you think about it, like, do I want to even take a physical road trip with this person? to meet a customer? Can I put this person in front of my family, my friends, my business partners, whatever it might be, my customers? It's like, if the answer is no, they're not going to invest in you.
Exactly. And I like that analogy because it is really a road trip. So say let's use a road trip example. You took off on your journey, you're driving down the highway, and you need fuel. And along the way, there's people standing on the side of the road that have cans of fuel. And you stop by each one and they're like, so where are you driving to and why? That's the only way you're getting the fuel. That story that you tell that person of why you even started your road trip and where you're going determines if they get in the car.
Yeah. And that, whether it's money or just connections or ideas or some other support, that's how you get there. Like that's what fuels the journey. And also we had what we call the windshield test. If we would want to go on a trip and not put someone through a windshield, just because like I know that's
Yeah,
like not the
yeah.
nicest thing to me.
No, for sure. They usually mention that through the concept of marriage. Like they say, like, hey, if you're going to have an investor, if you're going to have a co-founder, like it's like a marriage. So there's going to be conflict. There's going to be situations where there's ups and downs. Like, are you willing to be in the vehicle essentially with this person for an extended period of time?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Jordan asked if the startups joining the accelerator, I guess AcceleratorCon, are incorporating AI. If so, how?
Well, I'm not sure how they are, but the topic of AcceleratorCon this year is AI is the new fire.
Yeah.
So
what does that mean?
what that means is right now there is a very large push for people to build things that can solve real world problems with AI. Now I know obviously there's a lot of wrapper projects out there, like people just saying like, hey, here's this new image generation software, or hey, here's this new note taker. A lot of accelerators aren't investing in those types of things because they can see like maybe OpenAI will solve that problem in a month or a year.
Yeah, and just crush you.
Yeah. So typically speaking, when it comes to AI software, if you're going to build something, you want to have some sort of moat. And when I say that, I mean like some sort of data moat, like you're collecting unique data, first party data that no one else has. So that way you can, separate yourself from, other AI startups. I think that's usually the best way to do that. But
Yep.
I don't know exactly what projects are coming into the conference this year. I'm excited to see exactly what people are going to have.
Yeah, I hear you. I have one or two more questions, but I have to ask, what's with the Game Boy right
Oh
behind
yeah,
you there?
that's just a picture I found like randomly, some art piece. I was like, oh, this is so cool because I'm older than I look.
Yeah, me too. So it's a very Gen X. That
Yeah.
is like, our youth in a picture, I think,
Yeah,
in a
exactly.
lot
Yeah,
of
I was
ways.
like, oh my god, I need to get this thing.
So if someone's on the fence or thinking about AcceleratorCon, like what are the next best steps for them to take to kind of think about, and where should they? Obviously, there's the website, which I think I linked to, but if you want to give it again, or
Well, yeah, obviously it's acceleratorcon.com, but I think regardless, if you're in the world of startups, it's probably a really good idea to come. Just because of the people that are going to be there. Going back to the concept of relationships, you'll be able to build relationships that are going to help you for years to come just by coming to this thing. It's not every day you can just go somewhere and meet an investor from, say, like 500 startups, or meet like one of the co-founders of Venmo. That's not any day you can just do that, and that the value of that is it's unquantifiable. Like, there are people that are going to give you value for years to come, and you don't even know who those people are going to introduce you to. So
Yeah.
I would say that
well, that's the dominoes, right?
yeah, that is the number one reason I would say it's good to come. Even when I went my first year, there are people that I met there that I ended up building relationships with.
Yeah.
So I would say just come just for that aspect. Then on
Yeah.
top of that, there's kind of like the on location environment. Like, there's going to be things you can do there, little activities and activations that are going to be on site. So, and I'm going to be there. So I don't know why you wouldn't
Yeah.
come.
Why
Like,
wouldn't you? And yeah,
and
look,
honestly,
availability is
it's
the best
really no
ability.
demo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
showing up is really what it's all about. Because if you're not visible either online or in the real world, people are unfortunately, it's just like there's so much going on and so many people to talk to. You kind of have to keep that presence, and to be top of mind. That's
Definitely.
my thing for people to think about, whether it's this event or the next event. Um, it's easy and comfortable to stay in your comfort zone or in your bubble. But I would say the way to grow is to get out of it. Do you have any last practical thoughts or takeaways, maybe for people to think about before they make their way to either AcceleratorCon or to whatever their next event might be, whether it's tonight or today or tomorrow?
Yeah,
Um,
definitely. I would say
yeah,
for anyone out there, especially in the startup world, uh, stay honest, stay positive, um, and always focus on the story and the journey that you have. Like, being passionate about your story and your journey is going to take you really far. And then on top of that, just build the right relationships. There's nothing else beyond that. I think if you have enough trust, respect, and relationships, you can do anything. You probably don't even need the capital that you think you need if you just have the right
yeah,
relationships, the right attitude, and a certain level of trust.
yeah. Well, trust is a huge piece of capital in its own sense, and social capital is a tremendous value that you always take with you no matter what is happening
Exactly.
out there. And that's, our word is all we have in the end. So
Exactly. So if you frame it like that, the three things that the three types of capital that any person should care about is their social capital, their trust capital, and I would say um, their personal their personal I lost it. But definitely, yeah,
yeah,
definitely
come
their
back,
social
come back.
capital.
You
Yeah,
gotta come
definitely.
Friday, go Friday. You gotta show up Friday for the
I'll
answer.
tell Friday. Their social capital, definitely. Um, the trust capital, definitely, and their respect. I think that's another level of capital that you should definitely have.
Absolutely, absolutely, agreed. All right, Rich, where else can people find you, and how can they reach out and support and all that good stuff?
Yeah, so I'm on LinkedIn. I live on LinkedIn, so you can just type Rich Pierre and the word connector. That's the best place to find me. And we're building Pollen 8. So if you guys want 25% off the event, Pollen 8 is the code POLLEN and the number 8. And we will be launching Pollen 8 pretty soon. Again, it's a relationship management tool. it's also kind of like an operating system for community organizers. So if you're into community
Okay.
organizing or building networks, we definitely want to provide resources to help you do that effectively.
Okay, that's cool. That's another conversation to be had down the road for sure.
Definitely.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone, and thank you, Rich. Good luck Friday. Unfortunately for me, it's really a tough day because of the Sabbath and all that stuff.
Yeah,
So
I
getting
get
to the
it.
city.
It is a Friday at the end of the day, so
So it's Friday. Friday's a tough one, but I'm gonna keep an eye out on the content and everything that comes out of it, which is another reason to have these events actually. You know, so
mhm.
it really creates a lot of FOMO and all that good stuff, and just so much can come of it. So thanks again, and look forward to hearing more about it soon.
Definitely. I'm definitely going to think more on the capital concept because I like it. I want to flesh it out a little bit more.
Yeah. All right. No, you don't have to. Nothing is finished today. Today is just the first step.
Yeah, of
All right.
course. Of course.
Be good. Just another step. Take care.
Later.
Have a great event.
You too.